You big dummy.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. 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 Clap your hands, clap, clap, clap. Stomp your feet, stomp, stomp, stomp. Spin around, spin, spin, spin. Alright. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 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 Wash your hands, wash, wash, wash. Shake your hands, shake, shake, shake. Brush your teeth, brush, brush, brush. Alright. Good morning.
Good morning in that. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube this morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Not sure if we have a troll in the comment section or just someone who's football ignorant or both. But, of course, everyone knows Jordan Burch didn't sign with South Carolina on early signing day when he announced his commitment because he doesn't want to go to South Carolina. His mother wants him to go there. This isn't really a government secret. Clemson fan says number one class locked up. I thought that was the case too up until about a month ago, but no, you don't have the number one class locked up. If Georgia needs 3 pieces to take the number one spot, they got one of the pieces yesterday. 5-star tight end Darnell Washington, Zach Evans, and Keely Ringo are the other 2 pieces. That's not even taking Jordan Burch into account. If for some reason Georgia were to land him too, then it wouldn't even be close. But Georgia just has to sign 3 of those players to secure the number one class. That's not my opinion. That's just some quick maths for you there. According to 24/7 Sports, if you look at the total points for each team's class so far, Georgia would overtake Clemson if they signed 3 of those players. They signed 1 yesterday. Anyway, good morning, and that it is Uncle Lou here. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the morning show. And I finally redid the schedule graphic to put up on the screen, too. So there you go. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. And then the nighttime shows, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Those are the call-in shows. So most of you guys who are watching this show probably already know about the nighttime show. It's been around much longer than this show. But if there's a reason you don't know about the nighttime show, now you do. Tuesday, Thursday, 10 p.m. This schedule has been a little weird the last month or so because of bowl games and holidays. I set the schedule basically to work around football season, what works the best to do during the football season, and then I just stick to that same schedule during the off season. Well, after the conference championship games, you start having games played on weird days because of bowl games. And, of course, you have, Christmas and New Year's, and that kind of throws things for a loop sometimes. So the schedule's been a little bit off over the last couple of weeks, but we're back to normal now. So here for you on Friday morning. Hope you guys have a great weekend coming up here. And then next week, starting on Monday, full regular schedule from here on forward. until further notice. I do want to expand the morning show. I really enjoy doing this morning show, so I'm looking to move it to 5 days a week. But like I mentioned last night on the show, for those of you that were tuned in, been doing this a long time, and because this is a college football channel, the viewership tends to drop off drastically when the season is over. If that's the case again this year, then I'm not going to add to the morning show. I'm just going to keep it at 3 days a week. If the morning show keeps doing okay after the season ends, then we'll go to 5 days a week. I really like doing the morning show, and I've got a lot of things planned for this show too. Whether we keep it at 3 days or whether we go to 5 days, a big change coming to the morning show starting next Monday. So make sure you tune in. I have a big announcement for you guys on Monday. So be here for that. You don't want to miss it. I promise you don't. Shout out again to Tennessee winning the Gator Bowl last night. They're back. So is Texas. Everyone else is screwed. Who do y'all think is going to win the Natty in 2020, Texas or Tennessee? Let me know in the comments section. Clearly, it's one of those two teams. If you don't believe me, just get on social media. You will quickly find that out. One of those two teams is definitely winning the Natty in 2020. Go ahead and put all your money on one of those two teams for 2020. The internet told me so. Yeah. It sure did. Shout out to nobody for sponsoring the morning show with Uncle Lou. It could easily be you, though. Email me, crazyunclelou@gmail.com if you're interested in sponsoring the show. We'll get you set up without a problem. It's really easy. Anyone can do it. Even that North Florida white trash guy did it with his fireworks stand. So just email the show, crazyunclelou@gmail.com. Don't forget to tune in Monday. Huge announcement for you. Any news this morning in college football before we talk about the real reason you're all tuned in this morning? The World War III news. Any news this morning? Oh my God. Rocky Top, you'll always be home, sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top. 8 and 5 for infinity. It was a great game. Let's be real. I say this all the time during bowl season. All I'm looking for is good games here. I am an SEC homer, so we can all brag about that now. Well, if you're an SEC homer, you can, which means most Alabama fans can't because they pretend that they're not. But the rest of you that beat your chest about the SEC year-round like Uncle Lou does, we can brag today. 7-2 in bowl season. The two stepchildren who cost us the 2 games, of course, are from the SEC West. I'm really getting tired of the East having to carry the SEC, but that's a conversation for a different day. But Mississippi State and Auburn did manage to find a way to lose their bowl game. It is what it is. I'm still proud of Auburn and Mississippi State. Clearly, Tennessee tried the hardest in terms of SEC teams in their bowl games this year. I couldn't be more proud of Tennessee and how hard they tried in this Gator Bowl. But second and third place clearly goes to Auburn and Mississippi State, even though they came up a little bit short on the scoreboard. I thought they really, really tried extremely hard in those 2 games. So, again, SEC finishes, 7-2. Is that right? Did we really only have 9 teams make bowl games this year? Well, I guess LSU. I don't know if they count that or not, but Missouri was out. They were on a ban. South Carolina didn't make it. Vandy didn't make it. Arkansas didn't make it. So, it is what it is. What else? Oh, what do you know? Georgia lands number 6 overall prospect, Darnell Washington. Who saw that coming? This guy. Been telling you that for a couple of weeks. He was already signed with UGA. He just wanted to wait and announce it at that Under Armour game that was yesterday. Zach Evans is already signed too. I'm not convinced he's already signed with UGA though. He is already signed. The Zach Evans thing is getting weird to me. He first of all, you got a lot of people. Not well. I don't know about a lot, but I've seen some people over the last couple of days with the whole "I'm done with Zach Evans. He's a diva. You know, he's just looking for attention. He's a discipline problem waiting to happen." Breaking news. A lot of elite college football players are divas and discipline problems waiting to happen. I still want Zach. If Zach Evans is signed with Georgia, I'll be happy as hell. I'm not gonna lie. It is strange to me though that he's announced a commitment date and then canceled it and postponed it multiple times. But this one surprises me. I don't understand. He was supposed to announce yesterday, and yesterday morning he changed his mind. And this one is strange to me because he says he's already signed, right? He signed during the early signing period, and you had several players that did this. They went ahead and signed during the early signing period, but they didn't want to announce it for whatever reason. Maybe they wanted to do it at the Under Armour game. Maybe they had something else planned, whatever. They didn't want it announced. Zach Evans says he's signed. Okay, if you're signed, there's not much point in keep putting it off any further, sir. Once you're signed, that's it. Schools can't contact you. You can't go on visits to other schools once you're signed, whether it's announced or not. So, and the other issue is he's an early enrollee. Whoever he is signed with, he is supposedly showing up there on Monday. Classes start next week. So, if he wants to have some big look at me announcement, which a lot of people like to do, time is running out for that, because come Monday, it's not going to be a secret anymore. You're going to be on campus somewhere next week. Any idiot, even me, can go online and search the registrar for these schools and look up the student directories, and everyone's going to be doing it next week. They're going to be looking for Zach Evans, and they're going to figure out where you're at, sir. So I don't understand the postponement yesterday. But, so we'll keep an eye on him. Is it possible to get out of a signed letter of intent? Yeah, it's possible. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but here's the thing. Let's say he signed with Georgia back in early signing day in December, right? And for some reason he's changed his mind, if that's really what's going on. And I don't know that he's signed with Georgia, whatever team, fill in the blank. And now he's changed his mind. What benefit is it for that team to refuse to let him out of that letter of intent, right? Like, does Georgia really want Zach Evans or anybody on their team who is telling you, I don't want to be there, though? Like, I don't really think, like, in theory, the letter of intent is binding. But in practice, I don't think any team is actually going to hold somebody to that. And wasn't this like a Roquan Smith situation? Didn't Roquan signed with UCLA or something, right? And then backed out of it over the summer and ended up enrolling at UGA before his freshman year. Did he? I don't remember if he actually signed his letter of intent or not. I know he was committed to UCLA well into the summer, like getting ready to start classes in the fall, and then changed his mind and backed out. I don't know. Maybe he didn't sign his letter of intent, but still points to the same. But anybody now, as I've seen the fans, I don't want this guy diva. Diva. You can keep saying whatever team you're a fan of, your coach doesn't feel that way. I promise you that. Zach Evans calls up Nick Saban today and says, "I want to come to Alabama. There will be a spot for him. I promise you." Just because something's fair doesn't mean it's not the reality, right? These players get treated differently than most people do. It's just the way it is. No one's turning him down, I promise. Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU, whatever team he was considering or is considering or whatever. So I still want him. Keely Ringo. I do think Keely Ringo ends up signing with Georgia. I'm 50. I gave up trying to figure out what the hell was going on in Zach Evans' mind, the way he kept canceling and changing his mind, and I'm going to commit on this day and then no, postpone. But I do think Keely Ringo ends up signing with Georgia. We'll see what happens with Zach Evans. And like I said, if Georgia gets all three of those guys, they'll finish with the number one class. That's not an opinion. That's just basic math. You can go to 24/7 and add these things up yourself. So have fun with that. What other news? I saw one on here. I wanted to I wanted to read this one because Dylan Moses has said he was coming back to Alabama next year. But now, what is this saying? Now it's in limbo. What does that mean? Why is he doing the limbo? Alabama linebacker Dylan Moses' decision to return for his senior season has been held up as he seeks insurance protection for 2020. Okay. Earlier Thursday, his father, attorney Edward Moses Jr., said his son had given an unadvised commitment to come back to school rather than enter the NFL draft. Dylan Moses on Monday announced his decision to return to the Crimson Tide for the 2020 season. He missed all of this past season recovering from a torn knee ligament he suffered in August. You guys remember that. He was going to be one of their best players on defense, sort of the quarterback of the defense. And that really hurt Alabama, too, because outside of Dylan Moses, they were really young at the inside linebacker position. I mean, talented, clearly. You look at the way they recruit, but young. And I think that showed this year, too. So he was going to come back, and now it looks like he's wavering a little. Dylan has received a second-round draft grade from the NFL. His father is investigating whether Dylan has a loss of value claim against an insurance carrier after receiving a mid-first-round NFL draft projection prior to his injury. I'm not going to get into the rest of the details of this article. I think most of you are aware that most of these elite college athletes have insurance policies taken out on them in the event that they're injured or not able to go pro, or injured and they drop drastically in the draft because of the injury. A lot of these elite players have insurance policies that will kick in and pay them in the event that something like that happens. And it looks like, from just scrolling through that article quickly, and his dad's an attorney, so clearly he knows how to handle this situation, I guess. But I guess Dylan Moses had a first-round grade, got injured. Now he has a second-round grade. So they're looking into trying to figure out if the insurance policy will compensate him for the difference in pay should he go to the NFL now and get second-round money instead of first-round money. You guys know rookie contracts are not negotiable in the NFL anymore. It's a set pay scale for rookies for your first, I think it's 3 years. Might even be 4. So there's a big difference in what someone would make if they were drafted in the first round versus drafted in the second round. And it's not like he would be able to negotiate higher pay. I think you can negotiate signing bonuses, but not your salary is the way that works. I'm not an NFL expert, so if that's not exactly the way it works, it's close to the way. I know there is a rookie pay scale, and it is what it is. There's no, in other words, if a quarterback gets drafted 3rd overall in 2020, it's already known what his salary is going to be. It's not like it used to be where you would get drafted and then you'd have players holding out negotiating their contract. The contracts are set by the league in the collective bargaining agreement for rookies now. You can negotiate your signing bonus. There's other things you can negotiate, but your salary is baked in. You get what you get based on the position you play and the spot that you're drafted in. So we'll keep an eye on that. But it looks like a lot of Alabama's players are going to be coming back. I know Alex Leatherwood announced yesterday he's coming back. They're All-American tackle. Now, Terrell Lewis, he's announced he's leaving. And there was one other guy on the defense. What was the other guy's name? Somebody will let us know in the comment section. What was the other guy's name on defense? He's leaving too. Tua might come back. I don't know what Tua's going to do. Jerry Jeudy's leaving. We'll see. But they're going to have a lot come back that could go pro, it looks like to me. At least 2, 3, maybe 4 juniors come back that could go pro. So that's something similar to what we saw happen at Clemson a couple of years ago. Auburn's defensive line last year with Derek Brown. He would have been a first-round pick last year. He chose to come back. Georgia in 2017 when Chubb and Michelle decided to come back. So we've seen this happen a few times before over the last couple of years. And it's hard to beat talent and veteran experience. It really is. It's a big benefit to have both. Talent is always great. If you can combine that talent with people who've been there for 3 or 4 years and also have talent, that we usually see those teams do really well. And here's the article about Leatherwood. I'm not going to bring that up because I just talked about it. And, of course, Brock Vandergrift decommitted from Oklahoma a couple of days ago. He's the number one prospect in the 2021 class, dual-threat quarterback right out of Georgia's backyard here in the state of Georgia. I'm sure Kirby will go after him. I'm not convinced he would come to Georgia. If I'm that highly rated of a dual-threat quarterback to where I can pretty much pick and choose where I want to go, even though I'm from the state of Georgia, I would have to think long and hard before I actually decided to come to Georgia. Unless I see something, I'm putting myself in Brock Vandergrift's shoes now. Unless I see something drastically different from Georgia's offense in 2020 than I've seen the last 4 or 5 years since Kirby's been there, there's no way I'm going to Georgia. Seeing what happened there with Justin Fields and the offense that Georgia has chosen to run over the last 4 years, I would have to see something drastically different in 2020 before I would even consider enrolling at Georgia. I hope we see something drastically different, not just so we'll have a chance at Brock Vandergrift. I've been wanting something different on offense for a while, so maybe we'll do that. We definitely it does look like Georgia has put more emphasis on receivers over the last 2 recruiting cycles than they have in years past. So maybe they're looking to do something different. Maybe they're looking to sling it around a little bit more. Of course, you got to have a quarterback that can do that, and we still don't know what's going on there with Fromm. Is he going to test his luck in the NFL? I think he'll be a third, or if I was giving my draft grade on Fromm, it'd be 3rd or 4th round. And I'll say this about Fromm too: whatever draft grade he ends up getting, I think it will go down after the combine. I don't think Fromm would have a good combine at all. He's real slow. He's not athletic or mobile. He'll have a terrible 40 time. He'll have a terrible shuttle time. He doesn't have an amazing arm, so it's not like he'll even show up at the combine for the throw-in drills and wow people with his arm. I think the combine will hurt. If I was Fromm, I would probably skip the combine and just do my pro day at UGA and get George Pickens out there and whatever other couple of receivers he's comfortable with, and throw some back shoulder fades and some 12-yard out routes and call it a day. If I'm Fromm, I'm not going anywhere near the combine. Why? So I can show up and run a 5-second 40. That's not going to help. And this isn't me piling on or trashing. That's Fromm's. I'm dead serious. If he runs a 4.8, I would be amazed. Amazed. I'll be blown away if he runs a 4.8. So we'll see. Let's see who's tuned in this morning. Dago, good morning, sir. Jenny Haggerty, good morning, Annette. Ryan Sherlin, South Carolina for life. Jordan Bowman, Colonel 707, Jason Presley, Sam Watson. Frank says it's Fromm going pro. I think we'll find out soon. I hope he lets Georgia know. I hope he's got the decency to let Georgia, and I'm sure he does, to let the coaches and things know soon. Because if he turns pro, I would expect Georgia to look to the transfer portal for another quarterback for next year. I know we got Carson Beck coming in as a true freshman. You got Dwan Mathis on the roster too, but we don't know if he's ever going to be able to play again. So you would have to have, and Stetson Bennett's just a trash can. I'm sorry. He's just not any good. He'll never start in Division I in FBA ever. Yeah, he just doesn't. Nothing against him personally. He knows he doesn't have the talent to be a starting quarterback. It's clear. He's got to know that by now. So if Fromm leaves and for some reason Dwan Mathis doesn't get cleared, then you're looking at a situation where Georgia's only 2 quarterbacks next year basically would be Carson Beck and Stetson Bennett. We have another guy too, but he's another guy. He's another guy who's never going to start. So I would expect Georgia to look to the transfer portal if Fromm decided to go pro. I don't know that whoever we got in the transfer portal would end up starting. Carson Beck may show up and look like the real deal. I don't know, but you can't bet on that. You can't bank on that. You can't head into an offseason with a incoming true freshman being your only option at starting quarterback. You got to have competition. If you got a true freshman coming in, you got to have some competition. If Fromm leaves, you can't head into next year with a Carson Beck or bust type mentality. I mean, you're going to have more than that. So we'll see. Sam Watson, good morning. Ryan Sherlin, P. Digits, Russell Westbrook. What happened to your boys, Russell? You want to explain the Barners' loss, sir? You're all in the comment section with the 19 teams that you're a fan of, but we all know the Barn is your main team. You wagon ride a bunch of other teams, but we know Barn is your team. What the hell happened? Big Dog, what's up, buddy? Is Carson Beck enrolling early? You know, I'm not sure if he's enrolling early. I hope he is. I hope, especially if Fromm is I would assume he is. I hope he's not starting if he doesn't. I can tell you that. You can't show up in August and start. You can't do that. That's a disaster waiting to happen. So if he's got any intentions on starting this year, like if Fromm decides to go pro, he would have to early enroll to have any chance. You got to go through spring ball. We'll see. Richard Holton, good morning, sir. Okay, he's early enrolling then. If he practiced during bowl season, then I'm sure he's early enrolling. I mean, most of your highly rated players early enrolled now. I mean, a lot of it, well, it depends on a team's scholarship situation, too. You know, even in the spring, you can only have a certain number of players on scholarship at a time. So a lot of it depends on scholarship numbers, how many early enrollees a school can accept. But I would assume however many early enrollees Georgia can accept, whatever quarterback they sign, in this case Carson Beck, you would have to guarantee him a spot at early enrolling. You would have to. You have to have him on campus, especially if Fromm is leaving. Yeah, if Georgia gets Ringo and Evans, they'll finish with the number 1 class. They're going to finish top 3 regardless, I think. Okay, yeah, Beck is enrolling early. Okay. What's up, Ruben? Good morning, sir. Can Kirby develop the talent? Well, let's see. DeAndre Baker was a 3-star. He won the Thorpe Award and was a first-round draft pick. I mean, the list goes on, but Andrew Thomas is fixing to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. I mean, you tell me. McCole Hardman just made the Pro Bowl in the NFL as a rookie, and he's 5'8", 110 pounds. You tell me. Georgia's defense is probably the best in America, and chances are, unless you're a Georgia fan, you can't name 3 of the players. It's not like they're big-name guys. They've all been developed pretty well. We didn't give up a rushing touchdown to a running back all year. Defensively, sure. What you want to know about the offense? He's put offensive linemen in the NFL every single year. He's put multiple running backs in the NFL. One of them was second in the league in rushing this year. How many wide receivers got drafted off Georgia's team last year? 3. Terry Godwin, Riley Ridley, Miko Hardman, Isaac Nauta, tight end. Some of y'all see these memes and talking points on the internet, and y'all just regurgitate it without really putting any thought into it, into what you're saying. I mean, if anyone wants me to pull up a list of which teams have had the most players drafted since 2016, I'll be happy to do it. But you know what you're going to see. That wasn't the question, McCoy. Natty's wasn't the question. How I come off to you, Terry, is way down the list of my concerns. I was answering a question that someone asked. I don't buy into the DBU, RBU, all that kind of thing. There are 3 or 4 teams that right now are putting the most defensive backs in the NFL: Ohio State, Florida, LSU, Texas. All of those teams are doing an amazing job recruiting defensive back talent. Running back talent, Derrick Henry just led the league in rushing. He's from Alabama. They have Rookie of the Year candidate in there now with that Jacobs guy. Georgia, of course, has 3 running backs starting in the NFL: Gurley, Chubb, and Michelle. So I don't really think there's – I mean, like for bragging purposes and trash-talking purposes, you have certain teams that try to claim that. And a lot of Georgia fans will say RBU, and I love our running backs too, but I don't really think there's a clear answer to that either for the RBU or DBU. That tends to be the 2 you hear the most, who's RBU and who's DBU. I don't really ever hear anybody saying who's linebacker U. Now, the one thing you can argue, Tennessee is punter U. That they have that locked down without question. Swift will start too. It's possible. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not, depending on where Swift goes. We'll see. I'm not convinced yet that Swift will be an every down back in the NFL, but I do think he will play a lot. And even if that ends up being just like third down situation, because he's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He to me, he's sort of a mix between Todd Gurley and Sony Michel. I do think Swift can be a guy that can run between the tackles. But he's dangerous out of the backfield too. So we'll see. UGA is transfer QBU. Easton and Fields. Noah says, I don't think Florida makes a bowl game. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far on Florida. I think Florida be pretty good next year. Swift is an okay blocker. I mean, he knows what to do. He doesn't blow it. He's not the biggest guy in the world, though. So, as far as like picking up a blitzing middle linebacker in the NFL, I'm not sure. We'll see. But he does everything well. If you were gonna, is he great at pass protection? I don't know about that. But there's really nothing he doesn't do well. He's really a good all-around back. I'm not 100% convinced he can be like a 20 carry a game guy in the NFL, but he's so good on third down. He's going to get drafted and he's going to play somewhere. I mean, look at a lot of this stuff, like trying to figure out how a guy's going to be in the NFL. A lot of it depends so heavily on what team a guy lands on, right? Like you look at a team like the New England Patriots. It seems like they have a specific player for every need. I mean, Sony Michel's a really good running back. He hardly plays at New England. Now, when he does play, he does well. Of course, he was the only player to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl last year. But so, as a running back, you go to New England, you're going to be a bit player. They're going to design a certain set of plays, or you're going to play only in certain situations there. That's how New England is. You look at somebody like Nick Chubb at Cleveland, you go there, you're going to run the ball 20 times a game, The Rams did that with Todd Gurley for a couple of years, and then durability became an issue, so they back, they don't run him as much as they did a couple of years ago, but he's still, a 3-down back. And you look around the NFL and you see different teams handle that differently. Now, a lot of it clearly is based on the personnel that you have. Not every team has the luxury to have a first and second down running back that can bang between the tackles for 4 quarters and then another guy they can bring in on third down. The Saints and Alvin Kamara is another good example. He's close to a 3. He's probably a 3-down back. I think he led the league in all-purpose yards last season. He took sort of a step back this year in terms of total yards, but he's another guy too that can sort of play all 3 downs, although he's not the biggest guy in the world either. But he's got a ton of moves though. Ton of moves. He's fun to watch, Alvin Kamara. He's real fun to watch. ETN will be the best pro running back. His speed and catching ability separates him from the rest. I think it's a toss-up right now. It's going to depend on where these players land between ETN, Dobbins, and Swift. I think those are the three best backs going pro this year. I love Jonathan Taylor, and it's possible Jonathan Taylor ends up being the best back. My issue with that is we've seen Wisconsin have these running backs before that have put up these ridiculous numbers, and they get to the NFL and you never hear from them again. Ron Dane, the list goes on. Now they've had a few that have broke out and had okay careers in the NFL, but generally speaking, they don't. I still think Jonathan Taylor will get drafted pretty high, and Jonathan Taylor also has the most miles on his tires of any of those guys. He has way more carries than the other three. But I think you're splitting hairs trying to figure out who's better between Swift, ETN, and Dobbins. I think they're all three starters in the NFL for sure. Probably all three will get drafted in the first round, too. Logan Jackson, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, have you met your gallon of coffee goal this morning? I actually only had 2 cups this morning. I'm not going to lie to you. I am wore out. I'm running on empty. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have 2 young kids, so the holidays is always a crazy time. And then on top of that, it's the height of football season, really at that same time with bowl games and playoffs, and now the national championship game coming up. Lou Jr.'s birthday is this weekend. I'm running on empty. So I don't know that I'm going to drink any more coffee this morning, and Uncle Lou might go take him a nap after this live show is over. I'm just going to be honest with you. My plan is to do a video later this afternoon about the Tennessee-Indiana game. I really hope that happens. If for some reason it doesn't, it'll happen tomorrow. But the next video I upload will be a Tennessee video, and I'm hoping I'll have some company when I make that video too. The word on the street is that the General Vaultard has risen from the dead after Tennessee's historic Gator Bowl win yesterday, and we were talking about this last night. Obviously, you got the national title in 1998. You got the racetrack title in 2016, that NASCAR title that they won when they beat Virginia Tech on a racetrack in week 2 or whatever it was. But then you've got the Gator Bowl. I mean, this is a program-defining win for Tennessee, so a video deserves to be made. And if this won't bring General Vaultard back from the dead and get him back on video, then I honestly don't think anything will. So I'm hoping he will show up for a video. Matthew Perry, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, what do you think about Christian McCaffrey? I like Christian McCaffrey, but he, to me, too, is a guy that's not really a 3-down back in the NFL. I know Carolina uses him that way sometimes, and he's really, really good. I mean, he's great. But he just always strikes me as more of a 3rd-down guy. I know he plays a lot of 1st and 2nd downs, but he just strikes me as more of a 3rd-down guy. And that's not to put him down. People take it as an insult if you say he's not a 3-down back, he's more of a 3rd down. The NFL will draft you and pay you millions of dollars as a running back to just play on 3rd downs. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over again, going back to you can go down a list of running backs who made a career playing on 3rd downs in the NFL. So there's no shame in that. It's not an insult, Has World War III started since the stream began? I checked this morning before I went live, and so far the war had not broke out. Does anyone know? Are we still okay here? What time is it? 8:40. Are we good so far? Do I need to check like some kind of news channel or something, or something, and see what's going on, or are we still okay for now? Come on, man. He just did 1,000 and 1,000. Only 2 others done it. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, you talking about Christian McCaffrey, 1,000 rushing, 1,000 receiving? He's really, really good, but in my mind, he's more of a 3rd down guy. That's just how I feel about him. It's not. I don't consider that an insult. So you shouldn't take it as one. What is this World War III talk? During the live stream last night, that's all anybody wanted to talk about was this World War III news. I had no idea what they were talking about because I had been watching the Tennessee-Indiana game. So when the stream ended last night, I went to the most trustworthy news source I could think of, Twitter. And I just did a search for World War III. And I guess the United States assassinated like the second in command in the Iranian military in Iran. And they're big mad about it. I don't know what they, I don't know what they think they can do. But I guess they're mad. And anyway, if you go to Google right now and you type in World War III, everybody and their brother is writing articles about it now. World War III, because of course Iran is backed by Russia and blah blah blah. And North Korea, they want to get in on the fun now too, and it's just going to be. No, it's not going to happen. It's just not. But that's all. It's everywhere. If you turn a news station on right now, that's probably what they'll be talking about. And it's not like he was killed in Iraq too, this guy. So, and I haven't been keeping up with the news. But apparently there's something going on. Some kind of protests have been going on in Iraq, and the airport was shut down. And I really don't know. I was hoping y'all knew, so y'all could educate me this morning. But something was going on in Iraq, and so the Iranian guy that we killed or assassinated or whatever we did, who was like the second in command of their military, he was in Iraq when we killed him, and of course, the Iranian president Khomeini, whatever the hell. So he's this morning he's with the retaliation will be swift and blah blah blah. But there's nothing they can do. If you're in the United States of America, there is nothing Iran can do to you. Nothing. Zero. This is a bigger problem I have, and I don't want to talk about this because people get, no matter which side of the issue I'm on, people get pissed off about it. But none of those countries over there can do anything to any American unless we're there. They can't do anything to us here. Nothing. But we have to be there, so we're there. But so anything they do won't be to me or you. There's nothing they can do to me or you. There's very few countries on the face of the earth that can fire a rocket from one side of the world to the other. Very few, like 3 or 4. It's not very many, and none of them are Iran. None of them are North Korea. I mean, look at these tests that North Korea has. They can barely hit the ocean. Like, listen, when North Korea fires a rocket, they're just as surprised at where it lands as me or you are. Like, me or you are just as good at guessing where a North Korean rocket will land as North Korea is. They don't know what they're doing. They don't. A lot of this is fear-mongering by people who stand to make a lot of money by making you scared. Northrop Grumman, Blackwater, these military contracting companies. It's in their best interest to scare you. There's very little that anybody can do to me or you if we're here. It's like if your neighbor 5 doors down from you has a pistol. There's nothing he can do to you. Nothing. If you move into his living room, though, he could shoot you. Like that possibility would exist. At that point, yes, he could shoot you. If you